When people hear 3 months, they think it's too short to change anything. But in my life, the biggest shifts never came from long, comfortable plans. They came from short periods where I forced myself to become someone new. I always tell people I failed so many times, not because I was unlucky, but because I waited too long to change. When I was rejected from KFC, when I couldn't get a single job even, after applying again and again, I realized something important. The world was not going to change for me. If I wanted a different life, I had to shock myself into becoming a different person. A 90-day plan works because it doesn't give you space to negotiate with your excuses. 90 days is a psychological punch. It wakes you up. It creates urgency. And urgency is the only thing that breaks old patterns. Most people spend years stuck because they move slowly, gently, hoping life will eventually reward them for trying. But success doesn't reward effort. It rewards direction and discipline. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. And most people never cross it because they live too softly. When I started Alibaba, I didn't have money, experience, or connections. What I had was desperation. I pushed myself into a corner and told myself, Jack, give yourself 3 months. If you fail, fail loudly. If you succeed, succeed boldly. That urgency made me work with a level of clarity and hunger I had never felt before. And that's why the first step in this plan is not a strategy. It's a shock, a jolt to your identity. Because once you wake up that part of yourself, the part that refuses to settle, your life begins to change faster than you thought possible. Success loves speed. Not talent, not luck. Speed. And a 90-day transformation is the purest expression of that truth. When people talk about changing their lives, they always start with what they want to add. New habits, new goals, new routines. But I learned very early that real transformation doesn't begin with addition. It begins with destruction. To change your life in 3 months, you must burn the old map you've been following for years. Because the truth is simple. Your old map led you exactly to the life you have now. If you want a different destination, you cannot keep using the same direction. When I was younger, I believed success was about working harder. But every time I failed, the university rejections, the job rejection, the promotions I never got, I realized something painful. I wasn't failing because I was weak. I was failing because I was trying to build a new future with an old identity. I was holding on to beliefs that no longer served me. I thought I wasn't smart enough. I thought I wasn't talented. I thought other people were better. These beliefs were the old map, and it kept draining me back to the same place, disappointment. So in the first 30 days of this plan, you must let parts of yourself die. The lazy version of you, the doubtful version of you, the version that waits for motivation, waits for approval, waits for signs. I had to do the same. I had to destroy the belief that because I failed before, I will fail again. It wasn't easy. Breaking your patterns will feel like breaking your bones. But that's the price. Discipline is painful, but regret is fatal. The moment you burn the old map, something powerful happens. You stop walking in circles. You stop repeating the same year over and over. You begin to build a new internal compass, one based not on fear, but on intention. And once you do that, the next 90 days become a runway instead of a maze. When people hear the word isolation, they imagine loneliness, sadness, or being cut off from the world. But in my journey, isolation was never a prison. It was a workshop, a place where I rebuilt myself without the noise of other people's doubts. If you want a 3-month success plan that truly changes your life forever, you must understand this truth. Growth requires silence, not emotional silence, but environmental silence. The kind that allows you to hear your own ambition again. In my early days, when Alibaba was just a dream that everyone laughed at, I had to disappear from the world for a while. Not literally, but mentally. I stopped trying to impress people. I stopped explaining myself. I stopped seeking permission. I realized something important. People who do not see your vision will always sabotage your energy, even if they don't mean to. Their doubts become your doubts. Their fears become your fears. And fear is contagious. Winners isolate themselves long enough to break free from that infection. You see, people talk too much. They love giving opinions that cost them nothing, but can cost you everything. So for 90 days, stepping back from the chatter is not selfish. It's strategic. It protects your ambition while it is still fragile. When Alibaba was struggling, people called me crazy, naive, unrealistic. If I had stayed in those conversations, I would have gone back to being the small, polite, ordinary Jack that life expected me to be. Isolation gave me space to think, to plan, to fail without judgment, to try again without shame. It gave me the emotional freedom to grow into someone stronger. And that's why I say solitude is not weakness. Solitude is preparation. Winners don't isolate because they hate people. They isolate because they love their future more than they love temporary validation. For the next 90 days, disappear just enough to become unrecognizable when you come back to mode. People imagine transformation as something gentle, a few habits here, a little effort there. But the truth I learned early is that the first stage of change is always brutal. If you want to change your life in 3 months, you must be willing to endure a month that feels almost unbearable. The first 30 days are not about comfort. They are about breaking your old routines, breaking your excuses, breaking the part of you that wants to negotiate with life. I remember those early days when Alibaba was just a dream. I would wake up before sunrise, working when the world was still asleep. I was broke. I had no team, no money, no recognition. People laughed at me. They said it was impossible. And at times I wanted to quit. But I realized something crucial. Pain is a signal, not a stop sign. If it doesn't hurt, it's not changing you. The world only remembers doers, not talkers. Those first 30 days felt like a storm, but every hour of discomfort was shaping a stronger me. During this month, you will face fear, doubt, and the temptation to quit. You will feel lonely, inadequate, and embarrassed. That is normal. That is the price. Sacrifice is the entry fee for anyone who wants real change. You cannot negotiate with it. You cannot soften it. Every early morning, every no you endure, every small failure you survive, it is laying the foundation for a new life. So embrace it. Lean into the difficulty. Because after these 30 days, the pain transforms into momentum. The fear becomes energy. The doubt becomes clarity. And when you look back, you will see that this brutal month was not punishment. It was the ignition of the life you are about to claim. One of the hardest lessons I ever learned was that not everyone around you wants to see you succeed. In fact, many people will silently, even unconsciously, try to hold you back for your 3-month transformation. To work, you must ruthlessly evaluate the people in your life and cut the dead weight. These are not just toxic friends or enemies. Sometimes they are well-meaning. People who, through doubt and fear, slow you down without even realizing it. They may be your colleagues, your classmates, or even your family. If you keep them too close, they will drag you back to your old life. I remember when I was building Alibaba, there were so many people who said, "Jack, this is impossible. Why do you waste your time?" Some were friends, some were mentors. First, I listened. I tried to explain. I tried to reassure. I even tried to convince myself. But every word of doubt I absorbed weakened my vision. One by one, I had to distance myself. Not out of arrogance, but out of necessity. You cannot win if your environment keeps whispering that you are not enough. Winners upgrade their environment. Complainers defend it. Cutting the dead weight is not cruel. It is strategic. It is like pruning a tree. You remove what holds you back so the new growth can flourish. During these 90 days, you cannot afford distractions disguised as care. You cannot afford doubts disguised as advice. The people you choose to keep around, you must serve your future self, not your past comfort. This is not easy. It is painful. But every minute you spend among those who hold you back is a minute wasted in mediocrity. Understand this? The people in your circle can either be fuel for your journey or anchors that sink your dreams. Choose carefully, because the difference between a life of excuses and a life of achievement often begins with who you allow to walk beside you. If there is one thing I learned in my life, it is that rejection is inevitable, and it is not the enemy. When I first tried to get jobs, when I pitched ideas for Alibaba, I was rejected more times than I can count. The KFC story is famous. 10 people got the job. I didn't. At first, it hurt. It felt like the world was against me. But then I realized something crucial. Every no I received was not a failure, it was information. It was a guide, a compass pointing me to a different path. The world does not give you permission, and it will not applaud your dreams. That is why rejection must become your weapon, not your wound. During your 90-day plan, rejection will come constantly. Maybe not from companies or investors, but from life itself. Your own fears, the limits you believed about yourself, the judgment of friends and family. All these no's will try to stop you. The weak complain, they cry, they give up. But the strong, they collect these no's and use them as fuel. Every rejection is ammunition for your ambition. Every setback is a reminder that you are growing faster than those who stayed comfortable. This is a secret truth that few will tell you. Life pushes back hardest on those who are about to break through. I tell young people this all the time. Stop waiting for approval. Stop waiting for people to say yes. Each rejection is not a dead end. It is a challenge to rise higher. If you can internalize this mindset during your 90 days, if you can look at every disappointment and say, good, now I know where to aim, you will develop resilience that lasts far beyond 3 months. Because success does not come to the timid. It comes to those who turn pain into power, who convert every obstacle into opportunity. I want to share a story that everyone knows, but few understand deeply. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company, the company he built with his own hands. Imagine that for a moment, all the work, all the effort, all the dreams, gone overnight. Most people would have quit, or worse, collapsed under the shame and disappointment. But Jobs did something remarkable. He didn't see this as failure. He saw it as a pause, a chance to rebuild himself, to rediscover what truly mattered, and to return stronger. That is the lesson I want you to take into your 90-day transformation. For 3 months, you will face your own versions of being fired, moments when the world seems to say no, moments when everything you thought you were building falls apart. The difference between those who succeed and those who fail is how they respond. Jobs responded by creating NEXT, Pixar, and ultimately returning to Apple with a clarity and vision that he never had before. He took collapse and turned it into acceleration. And that is exactly what you can do in these 90 days. Collapse, rebuild, rise sharper. Failure is not the enemy. In fact, it is a secret ally if you know how to use it. This story is cliche, yes, but it fits perfectly because it teaches the core principle of transformation. You cannot stay the same and expect your world to change. You must embrace the discomfort, the rejection, the firing moments as tools to reinvent yourself. Over these 90 days, every setback, every challenge, every no is preparing you to come back stronger, just as Jobs did. Remember, the world only remembers doers, not talkers. The 3 months ahead are your opportunity to become unforgettable that way. People think success is about skill or knowledge. They are wrong. The biggest obstacle in your 3-month transformation is not what you know. It's how you handle yourself. I have seen talented people fail simply because they let fear, anger, or frustration control their actions. In my early days, I would feel panic when deals didn't go through, when investors laughed, when the future seemed uncertain. Those moments could have broken me. But I realized that emotional chaos is a luxury that winners cannot afford. If you want to change your life in 90 days, you must learn to calm the storms inside you. Emotional control is not about ignoring your feelings. It is about not letting them dictate your decision. When Alibaba was struggling, I learned to pause before reacting, to let frustration and doubt fuel clarity rather than destruction. I observed my own patterns. Moments of anger led to mistakes. Moments of fear led to hesitation. I had to teach myself to respond intentionally, not instinctively. And this is a lesson you must apply. The 90-day plan is full of stress, challenges, and pressure. Without emotional mastery, you will crumble under the weight of opportunity. Think of it as building a fortress inside yourself. Every time doubt rises, every time anxiety whispers, you strengthen the walls. Winners feel the same emotions as everyone else, but they refuse to obey them. This is the secret truth. Your ability to regulate your mind and emotions will determine whether you rise or fall. Motivation will fade. Luck is uncertain and talent can fail. But emotional discipline, that is unstoppable. In these 90 days, learning to control your mind is as important, perhaps more important, than learning any strategy or skill. It is the invisible engine behind every lasting success. Success is not random. It may look like luck from the outside, but winners follow a rhythm that others never notice. When I built Alibaba, I realized early that talent alone was never enough. The people who succeeded fastest were not the smartest or the most creative. They were the ones who could structure their energy, their time, and their focus in cycles of intense action followed by reflection. In a 90-day transformation, discovering your personal rhythm is everything. It allows you to attack your goals with precision while avoiding burnout. I remember the first months of Alibaba, working long hours, making endless calls, pitching ideas over and over. But I also realized that constant motion without pause led to mistakes, poor judgment, and exhaustion. I started experimenting with cycles, periods of relentless work, then short moments of reflection to correct course, then another sprint. This rhythm became the engine of progress. It is the hidden framework that separates winners from dreamers. During these 90 days, you must find your own cadence, when to push, when to pause, when to analyze, and when to leap again. The rhythm is not just physical, it is mental and emotional. You learn to anticipate challenges, to prepare for stress, and to recover faster than those who drift aimlessly. You begin to understand the subtle patterns of your own productivity, and then you exploit them. Following this rhythm turns chaos into clarity, struggle into forward motion, and uncertainty into momentum. In short, it transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. If you master this rhythm in 90 days, you will create a foundation for success that lasts far beyond this initial plan. After 90 days of deliberate, intense work, something remarkable happens. You are no longer the same person who started this journey. Your habits, your mindset, and your standards transform, often in ways that surprise even you. I know this because I have lived it. When Alibaba began to grow, I didn't just see change in my company. I saw a new version of myself emerging. I realized that success isn't just about money, opportunity, or recognition. It is about rebuilding your identity so that your old self can never hold you back again. Most people want change, but almost none are willing to rebuild themselves. They chase quick fixes, short-term motivation, or easy wins, but lasting transformation is uncomfortable, relentless, and non-negotiable. Over these 90 days, you have faced rejection, fear, fatigue, and doubt, and you survived. That survival is proof that you are ready for a new blueprint, a framework for your life designed around action, discipline, and uncompromising self-belief. You have learned to manage your emotions, to cut away the dead weight, to weaponize rejection, and to follow a rhythm that produces results. Now, everything you do can be intentional, deliberate, and aimed at a higher standard. This is the moment when you stop chasing life and start creating it. The person you were at the beginning, hesitant, insecure, uncertain, no longer exists. You have built a foundation that others take years, sometimes decades, to construct. The next 90 days are just the beginning. Commit fully, act boldly, and remember, the world only rewards those who dare to rebuild themselves completely. This is your new life. This is your blueprint.